stand with us. We led in the invocation by Alderwoman Jackson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can we bow our heads? Dear God, we'd like to tell you thank you so much for allowing us to be here today, God. Please let our hearts and our minds be on the town business of what we need to do tonight, and that we do it accordingly and decent and in order. God, we'd like to take time to say a very, very special prayer and send out to Corbin Rogers' mother and father on behalf of his passing. Jesus, we know that he's in a better place, but we still miss him and mourn him. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Members of the board, are there any additions or deletions? Oh, please, would you please also speak into the mic? I think it's safe to say that we do have, or we will have, a new system installed very soon. But in the meantime, can we speak so that our general public may hear us clearer? And I hope that all of your cell phones will be put on silence, that we might conduct the business of the town. Now, with all of that, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Alderwoman Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to delete item 9D, board to consider having Harold Owens at a future board meeting to discuss charter. We had discussed this in a special meeting and said that we would hold off on discussing that once we had our finances more in order. So I'm confused as to why it would be added to the agenda.
Mr. Gerald. For clarification.
Clarification, this is added to help with the administration of the town, which would also help with the administration of the audits, all audits.
Thank you, but we did discuss in the special meeting that we would hold off on discussing changes to the charter after we had got our finances in order. That's what we discussed. It was on our January 9th meeting. I can pull the meeting, I can have the meeting pulled if you have the minutes pulled.
Alderwoman Jackson, then Alderman O'Gara.
We did discuss that at the meeting. I think now that we may need to come back and rediscuss it. It wasn't consensus, it wasn't a vote. So I would like to see that to be still be on here, because there's some things in moving Spring Lake forward that we need to do and make sure that we're doing things in decent and in order.
Alderman O'Gara.
I think Ms. Jackson pretty much covered it. We need to hear what's good about us. We also need to hear what's bad about us. Thank you.
Alderwoman Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think according to his visit, according to the charter, we'll be discussing moving up positions. And what is stated in January the 9th, that we will revisit it once we do the 3 months evaluation for the town manager, as well as get our audit in order. I do concur with my colleagues. We should be doing stuff decent in order. That's why we need to get our audit up to date to be able to move forward in a positive direction that the town needs to go. Not saying that he shouldn't come here, but we did state 3 months. We would like to try to get this audit done. I think it's in the January the 9th. I'm not going to debate over it, but that's just how I feel about it. Thank you.
Mr. Gerald, and then Ms. Jackson, and then we will move on from there.
Right, to piggyback on what you're saying, we do want to do things decent and in order. This individual also told me somebody reached out to him from the town and told him not to come. So he requested to be on the board so that the board could vote on it as a majority so that he could come and help us out. And additionally, that type of interference is also happening with our economic development. But luckily, Mr. Harold actually wanted to be on the agenda to be discussed. So in moving forward and making us decent and in order, Since we have a manager form of government, we additionally need to have the charter agree as such.
What's gonna cost the
Hold
taxpayer
on,
money?
hold on, please,
Oh.
hold on, please. We're going to do it this way. Someone give me a motion for item 9E, and we will proceed. Alderwoman Cooper,
So I make a motion that we, delete item 9D.
is that second? Alderwoman Sutherland.
Thank you, I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we delete item 9D. All in favor, sign of aye. Any opposed, by the sign of nay.
Nay.
3 nays and 2 ayes. So by vote of the board, this item stays on the agenda. Okay, now, are there any other additions or deletions? I do have, here under presentation, I would like to, delete the special presentation as the recipient of this, presentation is not here, but we would like to, add item, 7C, that Mr. Gerald might introduce a new employee to the town. Now, we're at item 5, the approval of the agenda. Alderwoman Jackson,
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Alderman O'Gara.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, sign of nay. All right, the ayes have it. Item 6, approval of consent items. Alderwoman Cooper,
I make a motion that we approve, consent items, minutes of October 17, 2019, minutes of October 28, 2019, minutes of November 18, 2019, minutes of December 9, 2019, minutes of December 10, 2019, minutes of December 19, 2019, minutes of January 13, 2020, and minutes of January 27, 2020, January 27, 2020.
Alderwoman Jackson.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent items as listed by Alderwoman Jackson. All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, by the sign of nay. Okay, item 7B, Ms. Gross. An update on the 2020 census.
Good evening, Aldermen, women, Mr. Mayor, everyone else.
Good evening. Good evening.
I wanted to speak with you this evening to give you an update on the census planning from the Cumberland County Complete Count Committee and the library.
Excuse me. Can you speak into the microphone? Thank you.
Sorry. I wanted to give you an update on the census planning as we lead up to the census. The census office is still hiring. I have flyers with information on applying if anyone is interested or would like to take some to share. The library has offered 2 computers to the municipality to help their citizens enroll. The town can keep the computers after the census is over, and the installation details are coming together this week. So the computers can be installed during the beginning of March. The online enrollment for the census will go live on March 12th when the first mailings go out. There's going to be an open lab at headquarters that will serve as a drop-in, the headquarters library, I apologize, that will serve as a drop-in location for census enrollment from late March through mid-April. Anyone can come into any library branch to use the computers to enroll, and the library is offering a 5-tablet census kit to civics groups, churches, to help their members enroll, and you can pick up and drop off that kit at the headquarters library. Do you have any questions? That's all I have.
I'd like to have some of those flyers.
Absolutely.
And we'll just go to the, library to get the kit.
It would go to the headquarters library to get the kit.
That's the one downtown.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Gross.
Thank you.
Mr. Gerald.
Yes, Mayor, Board of Aldermen and women. I'd like to formally introduce Mr. Paul James as our new town engineer. This has been a long time coming. He has a wide breadth of environmental engineering and also project management, which we hope to do a whole lot of around here. So if everyone would just give him a little round of applause, I'm happy.
Thank you. Public forum, we have 2 citizens signed up to speak. In this order, Mr. Ephraim Dela Cruz and Mr. James Christian. As you approach, please state your name and address for the record.
Mayor and board members, Ephraim Dela Cruz. I reside at 240 Summertime Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Mayor, as you know, this is my 3rd time approaching the board members and yourself about the hiring process in Spring Lake. The first day I spent talking about how I've been a resident of Spring Lake since 1975. This is my home of record. After retiring from the military, after serving 32 years, I came back. I applied for the city manager's job, which I thought I had a good chance of getting. And I understand that Mr. Gerald, he was fired by 2 sitting board members and 1 ex-board member. And I was under the impression that when Mr. Aziz was elected by the same people who probably voted for Mrs. Sutherland and Mrs. Cooper, would have the integrity and the strength and the courage to honor their decision prior to coming onto the board. And as a result, I felt humiliated because I went through a hiring process when the town board members and the mayor knew that nobody was that was getting interviewed was going to get hired. So that's why I'm here, and I'm very upset about it because I wasted my time, and you wasted the city's time, doing this hiring process. Okay, and then I thought Mr. Z would have the integrity to say, okay, we're going to start fresh and new, and he didn't. And come find out, Mr. Gerald, after he was fired, got $50,000 severance pay, which he kept. And his new contract, which he got a raise for $1,500 more a year. And I don't know how that works. You get fired, you get a raise. Okay, I mean, that doesn't make common sense to me. And then in the contract, it stipulates he's got to have a mentor. Now, why in the world would you need a mentor if you're fully capable of serving this town? And I just want to make one final note, okay? And I won't go away because I'm from this town. I'll be buried in this town, and you'll see me around. Okay, and I drive around this town. I know this town better than probably anybody in this room. I delivered pizzas here. I sold encyclopedias here. I drove a taxi here. I served in the military here. I went to school here. Okay, and I know this town. This is my town. This is what I consider my town. My family's buried here, and I'm not going away. And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing right now this town's got to worry about is this FEMA money that you guys are going to get. And trust me, I'll be monitoring it. I'll be monitoring what's going on in this town. And that's just what I want to bring out. I don't have nothing against nobody in this room. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm a Christian man. Okay, I'm a business owner. Okay, but when I see something that's not right, I'll stand for it. And I don't care what political affiliation you're with. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I came here. This is my 3rd time coming, and this is why I'm here. I want you guys to know that. I know all you members of this board. I know your family members. Your mother worked at was the doctor, my mother's doctor, my brother's doctor, and my sister's doctor. I know this town. I know the people in this town. The people in this town know me too.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and that's all I got to say. And I'll be back.
Mr. Christian.
James Christian, 709 Regina Drive in Spring Lake. And I was going to talk about Rex Perry and Miss Sutherland's effort to have the Woodland West Park named in his honor. And I want to say that I support this. We come from a fine tradition of past residents. We were established in 1959. And a lot of people have come and gone through the town, but some of the people have made quite a mark, like Coach Tennant, Mr. Higgins, Rex Perry. Rex Perry taught football and baseball and basketball to kids. He continued to do it. Even later in life, after he gave up working, volunteering for the rec center. He did it at Fayetteville Tech and he did it at other places. So he deserves this honor to be named after him. We shouldn't wait till somebody passes away before we name something after somebody. We should honor them at times when they're near the end of their life. Rex Perry knew that his life was coming to an end, but he kept going to work every day. He kept mentoring kids, and he made quite an impression on quite a few generations around here. So I support naming the park after him. And there are other residents too that even I don't know about that deserve this honor for other fields and facilities here. So that's what I want to say. And I was going to yield my time, but I don't need to do that now. So I appreciate y'all listening to me. And I appreciate and I hope that you support Ms. Sutherland in this effort. Rex Perry was a good man. He did a lot for this town and a lot for the children. Even during his funeral, kids were coming up to me saying, he coached me when I was a kid. Adults were coming up to him telling me that. Just like they do about other residents in town. So support this effort. He deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you. New business, 9A case 20-13, consideration of CBMM and CJR properties. Request for subdivision review, that would be Ms. Walters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Real quick, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Jamie Walters. I'm with the Cumberland County Planning Department. I am now the town of Spring Lake's rep for the planning board. As far as staff-wise, I did it for Spring Lake for a couple of years when I was first hired with the county. I changed positions. The new planner who took over has since left to go work for the state, so I am filling in until they get a full-time planner for you guys. So thank you for having me. Okay, so tonight is case 20-013. Like the mayor said, is consideration of a subdivision off of Bragg Boulevard. The address is 2230 North Bragg Boulevard. Do we not have the slideshow? I sent you the, I sent her slideshow. You guys have that in your packet, I do believe. Okay.
Yes.
I apologize. So on the first picture you see is a map of the subdivision of the two parcels that are to be subdivided. Then the next is an aerial view of the property with the property outlined in blue, so that is the entire subject property. And then you do have a copy of the draft conditions, and it being approved tonight would be approval of those conditions. And those are just conditions that they have to meet before they can get permits and before they can get their plat stamped off on. Staff has no issue with it. It meets all the ordinance related standards, and I'm available for any questions. And actually, the owner is here if you have any questions for him.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? Alderman Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had made some notes, want to make sure I'm on track. Just wondering, this property has been a partial that's together and has not been divided for some time. And it didn't say a date. Why now? And A and B from a C1 to a R10 that we've waited so long, and the cemetery is a historical area in Spring Lake. Why are we making this change?
From what I understand about the property, that R10 strip
Right.
was a part of the surrounding subdivision. The front lot, I do believe, is going to be developed commercially. And before you could do that, or before anyone could use it commercially, the whole property, they would need to get that R10 rezoned. It's not required, they wouldn't be able to do anything commercially inside there, which more than likely they wouldn't anyways because of having to be buffered from residential areas. From what I understand from my conversation with the owner, they do not intend to do anything with the property that has the cemetery on it than to still allow the families access to that property.
Okay.
They do not intend to develop Lot B, as I understand it.
Okay, so the zoning code, you said you don't believe, we want to make sure that future reference, they're not picked up, moved, disturbed, And I think when we talk about charter and different things like that, we do have that in our charter, and to make sure that stuff is decent in order.
When
So-
it comes to whether or not he keeps that cemetery there, from what I understand, and I can't make promises because I'm not the property owner, we can't make him keep it there as far as ordinance goes.
What about the historical?
Unless it is registered and protected by a different, the state, the county doesn't have any historical commission.
Okay,
They
how
can't
do we
enforce
know,
that.
so we can protect those people's, family members or the cemetery? How would we know to go back to make sure that we're doing our due diligence,
Mhm.
that that is taken care of? Have no problem with it being separated, but I want for future reference, when we don't do our due diligence, that we make sure that, it's not disturbed in any kind of way. I mean,
Do you have anything to add
Yeah, I
to
mean,
that?
if I may.
Yes, so you may approach.
Good evening, my name is Brian Armstrong, and I'm part of the ownership for the property at CDM and CJR. The intent and what we're planning to do is we've been working with the Sand Hills Family Heritage Foundation, and with us working with them, the plan is for us to subdivide the parcel and deed them over parcel B, which would contain the cemetery, provide them access off of Highway 87, and therefore, going forward, they would own it and they would be able to do what they please with it, more than likely, maintain it and possibly, use or get more activity on it for people to be able to visit it. From my understanding, it's been, grown over for ever how long it's been there, and I think
Right.
now this will provide an opportunity for maybe more access to it.
yeah, that's why I asked why now, because it's been there for several different years, and
Sure.
And, nothing personal, but to make sure we do our due diligence and we understand, I ask these questions to educate us all as well as to educate me, because if I hadn't asked that question, we wouldn't have known, and we just would approve this, because there's no documentation anywhere stating that you're gonna be deeding it over to the Sand Hill property. So thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
And I guess we'll get a copy of everything to make sure for future reference, there's no, situations that we've heard in other towns where, has been disturbed.
It's our 100%. We have no intentions on disturbing this, and it's my hope that it stays as it is and becomes a place that people could come visit and see the history.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Brown, would you, like to also address, what might be a concern on behalf of the Sand Hills Family Heritage Association? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
My name is Janet Brower. I am the board chair for Sand Hills Family Heritage Association. And the association board does intend to accept ownership of this cemetery and clean it up, maintain it, put historical markers, and of course, protect it. That is what our organization is about, preserving the heritage of the Sand Hills.
Thank you, that's great.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay. If there are no more questions, there's action needed. Who would like to initiate that action? Alderwoman Cooper.
I, make a motion that we approve case 20-013.
Is there a second? Alderwoman Jackson?
I second that motion.
You heard the motion, and it's been seconded. All in favor of approving, the subdivision case 20-1-013, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, by the sign of nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9B, CDB, I'll get it right. CD, lot of alphabet. Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. This item is to review the agreement between Cumberland County Community Development and the Town of Spring Lake to provide a community development block grant totaling $115,676 to replace a section of sewer line on South Leasley Street. The original request was for $350,000, but they did not have funding. We're going to actually do 3 different lines in town. So so they bumped it down to 150, and asked us to get the quotes to do the repairs, and we sent it out to 10 utility contractors, and we got 2 quotes back. The lowest being from Sand Hills Contractors for $96,397, and we did add a 20% contingency totaling $19,279.
Questions? Okay, are there questions of Mr. Garner? Alderwoman Sutherland, then Alderwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is great that you applied this grant and it was approved this for our infrastructure. It was self-explanatory by going over and it said that the town attorney has reviewed this. But just on page 45 of the documentation at the top, where it says contractor certification for legal review of the contract with Cumberland County, it's only 2 items, one with the X as well as number 2 with our address. Everything else is blank.
I'm
But
not sure. I don't have that page. Mine page is numbered different.
It's in our,
I don't have the actual pack.
reviewed by the town. But anyway, my question, since it was reviewed, was this just a copy that was picked up? Because if you look, the dates don't correspond with, what you done was great, Mr. Kim. But it said it was reviewed by the town attorney. But if you look at page 45 at the bottom, and I think I tried to go through the dates, but this contract here at the bottom says effective date 07/01/2015. So was this just a copy?
Yeah, I think it's just
You just a dummy copy and then you just gonna fill it in anytime you want to, and y'all just made a copy of something that was there, and then we're gonna change this effective date on it?
this was everything provided by Cumberland County. I think it's a form they used that was changed.
They
on
probably need to
7.
update their charter and their
On
policies
7/1.
as well.
I think they only update that date if they change something on the form.
Okay, well, we wanna make sure that everything, we're still doing our due diligence, is corresponding with this type of money, and we're doing what we're supposed to do. So I guess if this is gonna be filled in at a later date and signed, certified by, and the signature and submitted date, and if the board is gonna approve it, we can get this date just changed at the bottom. We can, correct it how.
But since it's over $105,000, we can't fill out anything until the board approves.
I understand, but we need to make sure that that's taken care of, that it's corresponding with the other dates that's on the documentation, even the ones behind and before. Thank you.
Alderwoman Jackson.
I make a motion that we approve the agreement between Cumberland County Community Development and the town of Spring Lake to accept the Community Development Block Grant and proceed with Sand Hills Contractors as primary utility contract for the project.
Alderman O'Gara.
I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the CDBG block grant. All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, sign of nay.
Thank you.
The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Garner. Item 9D, Mr. Gerald.
Yes,
This
thank
is
you, Mayor.
for a consideration, is that right?
Yes, for board consideration.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. We have before you a application for a permit to operate an adult lingerie store, and I denied that request, due to, it being in close proximity to a church. However, the owners are here, and I said that they could come here and plead their case to the board. But my recommendation was to not do it. But if the board so chooses, they can listen to the owner and make their decision.
Would you like to introduce?
Introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Robert Kirk. I have, for all intents and purposes, to keep it straight, an adult store in Fayetteville, North Carolina, called His and Hers. I'm here today in hoping that you will vote to reinstate my already received zoning permit under the previous town manager. We had come down here in October of 2019. And I've had the opportunity to review your ordinances under what is considered a sex-orientated business. and absolutely understand the needs for those ordinances. Minimize the chance, and possibility of, illegal activities, and the seedy underbelly that is normally associated with these sorts of businesses. I was granted permission, I was told that I had to have permission from the town before I was able to obtain my zoning permit. Had the opportunity to present my case and explain to them how we were not going to be violating any of the ordinances that you have in place. I was granted permission, at what point I was given permission to search out and obtain a lease, which I had to have permission first to get, so I received my lease and then come down, received my zoning permit, and then a few days later I got a call saying that my permit had been denied. I am $30,000 in the product. I am into a 3-year lease at $2,500 a month, and so I'm hoping that under these ideas that you would understand that I hope you will reconsider. I have gone so far as to instill into my lease itself that for added security for the members of the board of the town of Spring Lake, that we would not be violating any of your ordinances. And to be considered a special land use for a sex-orientated business, we don't fall into any of those categories. We will have no movies of any sort. We will have no type of live entertainment. There will be no books, there will be no magazines, there will be no booths, there will be no theaters, no pictures, anything. Basically, we would be doing nothing more than what you already have Walgreens, or what you have Walmart doing here, supplying sexual health aids. Obviously, we would have a more diverse selection, and even though if we were able to zone us as commercial, we would still go ahead and then take the extra steps required to ensure that no wandering eyes would be able to see into the building. All the front of the building would be tastefully reflective. There would be no product that would be visible should somebody accidentally walk into the door in front of the store, and to take every precaution that we possibly could to ensure that we maintain our business in a standard that is required and by the town of Spring Lake. I have a copy of my actual lease that I have, where I put all these institutes into my lease as well to ensure that we did not violate any of your ordinances. And so again, I would like you to reconsider reinstating my already obtained zone from the previous town manager based on the following. And like I said, I am, well in excess of $30,000, into this after being approved by, the town of Spring Lake. I absolutely appreciate all of your attention in considering this matter.
Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, reading the documentation, and I'm so sorry that you are already in it, and I guess, I can't speak for the whole board, but Mr. Gerald, I can appreciate you taking that in consideration. It didn't take 3 votes to not, I'm only one person, but I'll speak about what is next to Williams Chapel Free Will Baptist Church, as well as it also stated located within 500 feet of any areas on their residential property. And I wish it had came before the board before you got to be $30,000 in debt. Not saying that your business shouldn't be in Spring Lake, but according to what the charter, the ordinance state, I feel like we'll be violating our own ordinance if we approve this. And again, I wish it had came before the board prior, and that's just what me speaking. I'm only one person, but it does state, school, nursery, any activity or worship, religious. And I know you said you went over it yourself as well as I have, but even though you've done your due diligence to make sure that your windows and different things of that nature, and individuals, they're all adults, they got the private right to do what they want to do and visit whatever facility, entity they want to, but according to our ordinance, and it is next to a church, I just feel like we should go down.
May I reply?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I understand your concern. My point is that per your ordinance, the operation of this business does not violate any of your ordinances. And therefore, is not really considered what you deem as the city of Spring Lake as a sexual oriented business, because we are not. Under your ordinances are designed to prevent the seedy underbelly, prevent the perception of illegal doings, the possibility of illegal doings with interaction between live entertainment or things of that nature, or the visceral effect of pornographic images where they are actually showing in, on the DVD covers and motion pictures. My contention is that this store would be considered more of a sexual health aid store and a boutique, more so than a porn store or a sexual oriented business, because we are doing nothing more than what your Walgreens does and your Walmart does. And I have pictures, I've actually gone to your Walmart and to your Walgreens, and they have sexual health aids as well. So your own ordinance, which deems sex-oriented businesses, we do not fall into your category of sexual-oriented businesses, therefore to be relegated to being a special land use package. And that was the extent that I'd gone to with the great city of Spring Lake earlier, when we were given permission to be able to discuss that and go over the ordinances with that, the town manager and everything at that point in time. So it was a little bit, and I understand your concern, trust me, I do. And that's why, this would be a very much upscale, and, I'm the first one to adamantly state that we will not violate any of your ordinances, and that's why I put it into my lease to help also build that confidence in the business that we're trying to run. And it's going to be a very, I'm locked into almost $20,000 of renovations into that building as well.
Exactly.
And I just don't, I was hoping that we would be able to come to the same agreement that we had had in the previous board, go on what, it's difficult to say, to think that a previous administration would have approved after going through the great extent that I have. Let me get so far into it and then, go back on what a previous administration had. And, especially when you have, like I said, you got Walmart and Walgreens do the same. I just don't want to get into a situation where I'm upsetting the board, upsetting the city of Spring Lake, and and get into a situation, and now that I've been approved this far, I'm dead having to litigate these things. So it's just not where I want to go with the city of Spring Lake. I very much look forward to operating business of the highest standards to ensure that we have no issues. I have, like I said, I have a business in Fayetteville called His and Hers as well. I don't know if you're familiar with the Keefs. They actually own the property that my store is in. We've never had any sort of problems with the city or the law at all. So, under those basis of your own ordinances, and the fact that, this business would not be run under a situation where we fall under your ordinances of a sexual oriented business, I do hope that the board does reconsider under those facts.
Alderman Jackson.
I need you to make it plain for me, so I'm having some understanding. You say it's what we have in Walgreens and Walmart is what now, sexual?
It's a health thing, to be as blunt as I possibly can without, and I have pictures on my phone where, both Walgreens and Walmart, they sell vibrators, they sell sexual oriented health aids right there in the aisles with nowhere near the same restraints that I will show to ensure that we don't have minor individuals or otherwise, coming into the store. We're projected to do probably about $350,000 to $400,000 worth of taxable revenue for the city of Spring Lake. We have a very, very great reputation in the city of Fayetteville. But yes, ma'am, we sure do. And I go right down to your Walgreens and your Walmart. You have pictures on my phone of, lubricants, vibrators, and other sexual health aids that are actually on the shelf in the aisles, not behind locked glass, not behind locked doors, not guarded by any kind of employee or otherwise associates, to ensure that those people that we are all trying to protect.
Is this the only thing you're gonna have in your store?
We will have lingerie, we're going to have sexual health toys. The best way that I can describe this would be, if anybody is familiar with your higher end stores such as an Adam and Eve, we are even going above and beyond the restrictions that Adam and Eve has. Adam and Eve still sells DVDs and magazines and things of that nature. We will carry none of that.
Okay, my concern is, I understand that you're saying that Walmart and Walgreens has it, and that it should be okay if you're having it. My concern is I didn't even know Walmart and Walgreens had it. So they have other things in the store that people are probably more concentrating on than that right there.
Oh,
But
yes,
with
ma'am,
your
yes.
store, you will have that and lingerie, so it would be definitely a difference. Even though it may be the same items, but it's definitely a difference.
Absolutely, we
And
have
then-
much more of an inventory, yes, ma'am.
Right, and with you saying you're gonna have the tinted windows and stuff like that, then that tells me that you know you need to have that because of what you have in there.
I'm going there because I understand the, one, the perception and the persona of these types of stores. You know, these stores are not a 1967 era blacked out windows, seedy, you know, creepy people walking around back and forth. You know, a majority of our business, probably about 45% of our business is female, 75 to 80% of our business is couple orientated. We have very, you know, so it is not a, it's not the seedy underbelly at all of what is normally considered. But I do understand the gray area. I do understand that even with your own ordinances, I would be remiss if I did not say that I want to protect the integrity of Spring Lake. You know, I understand the personas, and I don't want there to be, I want to minimize probabilities. You know, normally in these stores, they'll have mannequins that are scantily dressed. You know, I don't believe that, well, no, I do believe that there should be some discreetness in it, and we do need to maintain a level of civility. So while I understand what you're saying, even if the windows had been clear, as long as you cannot see anything that is sexually explicit through those windows, I would tend to disagree with you, Councilwoman. But I don't want there to be the perception, I don't want there to even be the slightest chance of impropriety or the wrong people being able to possibly start having to ask questions of their moms and dads of what's this or what's that or the other thing. Whether I feel that they're, you know, completely appropriate or not. I'm one man, I'm not a town. And I want to do everything I can to assure this board that though I do not think that there's anything wrong with a person's choice to maintain their own sexual health in the way that they need fitting for them, I also understand that there are some things that people find acceptable that others don't. And I want to ensure the state, the city, that I don't want to ever put any of you, myself, in a position why I have to explain why a 3 or 4 year old child saw something and it had to be explained.
Okay, is there a motion by the board?
Would y'all like to see a copy of my lease that I have all? I mean, I've gone to great extent to ensure that not only the city of Spring Lake has monitoring power, that my own landlord is also, you know, we've been completely transparent to ensure that these things were actually installed into the lease. We've never seen these in an actual lease itself. Had these actually installed into the lease to help ensure.
Alderman Sutherland.
I don't want to keep going over the same thing. I can understand your frustration, and people do have free will to do what they do, sexual orientation, and that's not for me to decide. I've already based about the zoning, but I'm a little disturbed, and I can understand the reason why you are as well, because you was permitted, you was given a permit, and again, it was not, it didn't come before the board, and you was under you was thinking that you was gonna be able to open this and run this, so I don't know what do we do? You know, he's $30,000 in. I've already stated that I feel like it should not be next to the stores or whatever. I mean the churches, and and it's close to it, and I just have to say no based on that, but I still, you was permitted a permit
And I would-
to open that up.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what do we do, town attorney or somebody to,
I would love to
What do
know
we
which
do?
ordinance it
maybe
is.
your landlord,
Hold on,
I don't know.
hold on, let us finish.
Okay, I'm finished, sir. I'm
Okay.
just trying to figure out how we can help him get out of this.
Who gave you?
Alderwoman Jackson wants to
If
know
you
who
look-
issued the permit.
It's on there. I'm looking here.
Tad Davis.
Okay, so previous comrade Ted Davis. Yes.
If I may, I don't remember this ever coming before the board as a site plan. Before a zoning permit should be issued, if it's a change of use, which I would believe this will be a change in use. It should have come through the county planning as a site plan, any change of use triggers a site plan, and then it would have been brought before the board. If a zoning permit was issued without an approved site plan, I don't know that this is something, I don't think this is the venue for him to argue it. If he's arguing against the determination of the town manager, who I believe is the one, I'm not sure, I have to look at the language of your ordinance, who administers your ordinance in the town, any appeal needs to go to the Board of Adjustment, not to the Board of Aldermen. This
Okay.
is not the place for him to appeal.
Well, we want him to appeal to do.
If he wants to
then
appeal
has
that
his due
determination,
diligence.
he needs to apply for an appeal to the Board of Adjustment.
Like it says, Patricia Moore.
I agree.
May I ask
Okay.
which ordinance it is that I would be violating, that would prevent me from being able to be
I
zoned?
think the course of action would be to go back to the zoning committee, is that right, or committee? And
You
come to the
need
council?
to come downtown to the historic courthouse.
Okay.
You need to go in room 103, that's where you should start it. But I don't know why you weren't told to go to us. Let them research the ordinance, you're being bring up the zoning ordinance. They know that ordinance frontwards and backwards. And they can tell you what it should be classified as, which according to the town's administrator of their ordinance, the secular oriented business, they will have to go off of what he says is classified as, and they will tell you what zoning district you're allowed in, and if you're within any boundaries. Now, whether or not you sign the lease, we don't take into consideration for whether or not your use is allowed. If you dispute his determination, your appeal, after you talk to downtown in the courthouse, in the Cumberland County Historic Courthouse, not the regular one, would be to apply for an appeal to their Spring Lake Board of Adjustment, not Alderman. Because it needs to be a quasi-judicial fact-finding evidentiary hearing.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, then I absolutely am going to need to litigate this. And my question is that, the permit was issued on the basis of that this business does not fall into a sexually oriented business.
You said Mr. Davis issued that? He's been gone for quite some time.
This was October 28th of 2019. And
Instead of not
so then he
here.
never-
Hold on.
What, Mr.
Ms. Walters will help clear the record. Thank you.
Whether or not litigation is needed, come down from Mr. first before you start hiring. So that's all I want you to do.
Thank you, Ms. Walters. So with that,
Again, I appreciate all.
yes, thank you. I think we've all been enlightened tonight. Thank you, sir. Item, 9E, I'm sorry, 9D, beg your pardon, 9D, Mr. Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. I have before you, a presentation by Harold Owens. He just wants a majority vote so that we can come and talk about our charter, so I would ask that the board, vote in the affirmative to do so.
Alderwoman Jackson.
I make a motion that we approve to have Mr. Harold Owens to come to a board meeting to discuss the charter.
Alderman O'Gara.
I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that, Mr. Harold Owens come and address the board, in reference to the charter. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, by the sign of nay.
Nay.
3 ayes and 2 nays. Now, that, means we just set a date for him to come. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Based on the 3-2 vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 9, E, Mr. Gerald and Mr. O'Gara, the naming of police annex building.
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. This item has come before the board, and the board did vote on it. However, since my return, we have looked at that building, and it does have some challenges with, its structural, integrity. It's not gonna fall down, but it needs to have major overhauls, and it may actually be torn down. So with that being said, I'll leave it to Mr. O'Gara to move forward with what he wanted to do with that.
Well, initially, I wanted to, name the bridge after Mr. Billy Manning. Also, his family came in and, they spoke for a while and let that family also be known. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward on that.
Alderwoman Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. That bridge, is a DOT bridge. There is a process we would have to go to, because we can't just vote to name the bridge after, Mr. Manning. There's a process we have to go to. I've mentioned it before, and, it was given to all the board members at prior meetings. So, the annex does still stand. It was passed. So, and it was also passed that any subsequent police, facility would be named in honor of Mr. Manning. So, I think, you need to honor the vote that did pass and move forward with that.
Alderwoman Jackson.
When you, Alderwoman Cooper, when you state that there's a process with the DOT, is the process that the DOT decides if we can name the board, or is it something that we can decide and then we have to go through DOT to do it?
There's a specific process, and it's, you can find it, I believe it's a statute, you can find it on, the state website. I've pulled it up several times. There's a specific statute.
But I'm saying, does the statute say that if you want to name a bridge, that DOT has to do it? Or does the statute say that we can name the bridge, but DOT, there's a process that we have to work with DOT?
There's a process you have to follow to name a bridge after someone. And I'm sure, Mr. Angel, do you have that?
I don't have the statutory provisions handy. I believe, that's based on my best recollection, that you are correct, that what it amounts to is if the board sees fit, that the town could make a request or an application to the Department of Transportation, and probably for the Board of Transportation to consider the matter.
So that means we can vote on it and then take it through DOT to see if DOT will approve it?
That is what I believe the process would be.
Yes, there is a process, and it's a paperwork process. And, the issue is not a dead issue, it's just that we have to just go on and do it according to DOT's procedure. Because it is a state-built bridge, and I think we may be determined to go through the procedure and through the process and get it done right. Now, as far as the issue of the building that presently exists, well, the building has been named because the board agreed. Now, if the building is ever torn down, I would hope that the board would not just tear down the memory that was left by Mr. Manning, that a new building would carry his name as well. They do that with schools and other things all the time. So, this is not a dead issue, so we will be able to fulfill the wishes of the board as we voted, last year, and as the family so desires as well. And, with that, we can also upgrade our policies for naming, which is going to become an issue, with the next item. So I think we are on the right track. We just have to do it right. All right. Does that satisfy the request for naming the police annex?
No.
It's been named.
We are trying to heed by the family's wishes. The police annex is not something that's going to be there, and the bridge is something that's going to be there for a very, very long time. Basically, what we would need to do at this time is take a vote and decide whether or not we'd like to go with the annex or we'd like to go with the bridge. I'd like to make a motion that, we go with the bridge.
There's a motion on the floor. Alderwoman Jackson.
I second that motion.
And the motion is that we go with the bridge. You heard the motion, are you ready for the question?
Question?
All in favor of going with the bridge, sign.
Unreadiness,
Okay.
unreadiness.
Okay, I now recognize your unreadiness. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Mayor, what you said was great. And I believe in going by the proper protocol to do all things. We can't continue to make this a personal issue every time we get ready to vote. We have already voted and named, we went through the process. And everything seems to be, if we don't go by the proper, policy, because we want it our way, it's just not right local government for our town and our citizens, because it's what I want. If you got 3 votes and you always got 3 votes, who are you working for? Are you working for the citizens to do what we're supposed to do, what was elected to do? Are we working for me personally, how I feel? Now, you stated what you stated, Mr. Mayor, and I can appreciate what you said. There is a process. When we did Marvin Lucas's street and named it, we was all together to make sure we're going through the process because it's a state issue, and I don't understand why we can't continue to do the right thing for the town, go by our policies, our general statutes, not because we just get 3 votes and we get it our way.
Hold on. We would like to conduct this meeting, in the best manner that we can. The light for, Mayor, I'm sorry, for Alderman O'Gara still lit. Okay, so now then that means the light for Mayor Pro Tem, Aziz, just lit up, so please.
So I wasn't here for that vote, but I will say that the police annex is on its last legs, so naming that after somebody is the same as naming nothing after somebody.
Okay, turn the light off, please. Now, Alderwoman Jackson.
I guess I'm confused because I thought that the policies, when you were talking about DOT, that what we're doing now is not against the policy, that we can vote to have something done, but we also are aware that we have to take it to the DOT to have it done. So how are we violating DOT if all we're doing is vote that we want it to be done? And then we'll take it through DOT. If DOT said no, then we can't do it if they say no, but should we be able to just vote on that's something that we need to be done? So I'm kind of confused.
So there was a bridge naming committee that was put together. That was part of the policy that DOT had in place for naming bridges and other, I can't remember what they are, but there was a bridge naming committee put together. The names that were suggested were not accepted by the board, but that was part of the policy as well to name the bridge. I don't have that with me right now, but I'm sure that Melissa can print it out for everyone so that you would know what the policy is. It's not just a vote and it's over. Also, in our vote, we said, and I said tonight, that we would name the annex after Mr. Manning and any subsequent police facility. Therefore, that negates what you're saying, because I did put it in the, I put it in there that any subsequent police facility would also be named after him. So, and there's nothing that says you can't have both. But I think it's disrespectful to just go back and negate the vote that went through. He can have both. There's nothing that says you can't have both. But I think we need to follow the policy, and we also need to respect the fact that we've already voted on this.
When you say vote.
Hold on. Now, we did vote to name the annex after Mr. Manning.
And any subsequent police facility.
And it's my understanding that the building is named after him. Again, I say that building is ever torn down, which I hear that may be the case, then a new building may be named after him. But this motion is to, now, the way I understand it, is to pursue the naming of the bridge after Mr. Manning, but we got to go through the DOT process. That's is that your intent, sir? To name the bridge after Mr. Manning?
Right.
Because the bridge has not been named, and we know it's a process, and I don't know how long it will take, but I think the motion would be to pursue the naming of the bridge for Mr. Manning in honor of him as we go through the process. Are you ready for the vote?
Did you?
Unreadiness?
Is that the motion?
No, Mr. O'Gara made the motion, but there was an unreadiness. I think, was there a second? Yes, and there was an unreadiness. Now we're ready to vote. If the unreadiness is cleared up, right?
Right.
Unreadiness,
Okay.
Alderwoman?
So I can understand, as you just stated, and we won't keep on going over it. The process has already been to name the annex after Mr. Manning. We went through that already. So that means it's already named after him.
That's correct.
Okay, so that means right now you wanna go through the process. We're gonna have the annex named after him, and if it should pass with y'all three, that you'll have the bridge named after him as well, once we go through the process of DOT. So that means you'll have the annex, so that's already been passed. And now you're requesting to have the bridge named after him as well. Is that what's saying? Because it's not in the documentation, but is that the understanding?
That is my understanding. Is that your intent, Mr. Yeah, that is his intent as well. Now we ready to vote. All in favor of naming the bridge after Mr. Billy T. Manning? Sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sign of nay.
No.
3 ayes and 2 nays to name the bridge after Mr. Manning.
Now, we're gonna go through the process we're supposed to go through?
Well, the aye vote was to name the bridge, but go through the process. We
You
can't.
didn't put that in there, that's why I said nay. If you had put that we would follow the process.
I said that. I said to name, but we've got, no, ma'am. We know that there's a process. It's been said a number of times. Now, when the application goes in, the suggested name will be what the board just voted for. When we start the process, which is an application process.
There's a lot more than just an application. I would vote for us to follow the full process, but, and, is there a problem?
The full process is to begin the process, see it to its conclusion, and when the Department of Transportation says, be it so, then that concludes the process. But we have to follow their directives in the meantime.
Because we can't I'm sorry.
And I think you're saying that if someone also was to come up with a subsequent name, this name has already been approved by the board to begin the process. And can we begin that process tomorrow, Ms. Aldermen? Get the information that you need, all the paperwork that you need to begin the process.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, item 9G. No, I'm sorry, 9F. Discussion of policies.
Okay, I guess that's me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the only thing I've got to say is that we have a habit of saying that, well, we'll discuss it, or we'll make it a policy, and then we move on. I feel that anytime we get ready to say we're gonna make it a policy, then at that time, we should make a vote. So the staff is not sitting there looking at something that says we need a policy. We need to make a decision, a vote, going in a direction so they know what to write for a policy. And we've been doing that now for quite a while. So far back as 6-7 months. And that was my whole purpose for putting this on the agenda. Thank you.
Alderman Sutherland.
Thank you, I can concur with what he's saying, the policy should always be in order, so, we shouldn't be trying to run the town on what we think is best. But, even though we have a policy, if we need to read it and look at it, we need to enforce our policy. Thank you.
Yes, we have a policy manual with 31, I think it's 31 policies.
Please update.
Here's what I would like to propose that we do. We can divide 31 of these by 6 people, which would give us, what's 31 divided by 6? With the remainder of. Why don't all of us take 5 of these policies and go over them, red line them, red ink them, and if there's any changes that need to be made, let us take responsibility for 5 policies. And the reason I say that is because you go back and look at some of these policies, the last time a few of them have dates on it, date back 10 years ago. That isn't fair to us, that isn't fair to the public, that we're operating on something that was last signed 10 years ago. So with common consent and agreement, I'll take any of the 5 that you all want me to take. I'll take the longest one and I'll go over those, and then that way at the end of a certain period of time, we can have all of these policies updated with some corrections. How about that? Mr. Hankins, and then Mr. O'Gara, and then Alderwoman Sutherland, down in that order, please.
Mr. Mayor, my only comment is a good number of those policies are legal in nature. Some are required by state law. Some are affected in some way by federal law, like there are a couple of OSHA rules and procedures, for example. You all please, as you take individual responsibility for reviewing one or another of those policies, feel free to call on me, and I'm happy to help. I will point out that one of the longer policies is the personnel policy, or the personnel manual. I am in the process of drafting a new version of that for your eventual consideration at the request of the town manager. That is a project that has not been done in a while, but after a lot of staff discussion, eventually that policy will be a major one for you all to discuss, then amend as you see fit, and then approve.
My turn.
Okay.
Just seems like it's okay. Just a couple of things that we continue on with this thing that really need to come back to the board. This Christmas bonus thing, we put it off as a policy. Well, that needs to be voted on, period. One about 7-8 months ago, travel time for one alderman, once you use up your travel time, we verbally said you can't use somebody else's. That needs to come back to the board. I mean, to just say something and not put it before the board and say policy. Nobody can do anything if it's a policy. We're saying we're gonna make a policy. The staff has no idea which direction to go. Thank you.
Alderwoman Sutherland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We pay $50 an hour to update our policy, so before we automatically say, that's when I say when you don't have rules and regulations, you're not going by them, you're not enforcing, you're not reading, you're just shaking your head, and you want it to go your way, and it's not, I can thank you for what you said. There is state laws that we have to go by, and we need to continue to go by state laws, because we can't go by our laws if we don't know everything. So we paid $50 an hour about 2 to 3 years ago. If we look in the minutes, that's why it's minutes, and that's why we're speaking, and we have a a town clerk to take good minutes to make sure we stay in the proper laws that we need to conduct meetings. So, we didn't get them all completed, but we did pay $50 an hour to get that done, and to get them updated. Then it went before the board, and then we okayed it. I understand we do have a new board now, but we did pay $50 an hour. And everything that we do here, if it's correct, it should be documented, and we should have minutes that we can go back and look on to see. We just don't start all over because we have a new board. There's some things already in place. So just to say, we spent $50 an hour, and we have some updated. And if you wanna ask Ms. Webb, what was the last one, because we was talking about completing that, she still is the town clerk, and she's available to let us know, so we can all be on the same accord, not trying to fight against each other. We're trying to go the same direction.
And with that being said, here's a policy G, that was effective 2009. It's about a flower memorial for employees and other officials. I was on the board in 2017, and this was not fault for lack of dollars. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand, that's what I said.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that I'll do my 5 or 5 and 1 over. I'll do mine for free. I won't charge anybody for me to go over and look at the ones I would accept responsibility for reviewing, and I'll bring it back to the board, and then we can vote on all of them again. That's all I'm trying to say. And then this way, we are not left with whether we have policies or not, because we will have reviewed the policies that we will be responsible for. We'll update them, and then we'll be marked. You know, we won't have one that's 10 years old that has not been reviewed in 10 years. But yes, ma'am, and then we'll move on.
Okay, I can agree with that. That's what I said in the beginning. Not disputing that, because it does need to be updated. I just said we have did some updating, but as the town attorney stated, we don't have the power to change some of those. So even though I won't charge either, I'll go do what I'm supposed to do, elected by the citizens, to make sure we have policies and procedures and we follow. But I do not have enough knowledge according to what the state law says, and I'm not gonna say I do, and then turn around and mess up something because I'm taking my 5 because I feel like I have the power to do it, but still not going by what the state law says. So again, do we give them to the town attorney once they're completed? Because I don't have the power to go above what state law says. I just want to know.
I'm not suggesting that we go above the state law. I'm just
saying, talking about me. Do we give it to the attorney once we finish?
That would be ideal, yes. And I will sign up to do A through F. I've already signed up to do A through F. So I will review these and give them to you, Mr. Hankins. All right. Okay, item 9G. I'm sorry, yes, go ahead, Mr. O'Gara.
I'll have to apologize, y'all, because I didn't think this was going to a long discussion. But basically, all I was trying to get y'all to do is possibly take these things that we set the policies and set them up on the agenda for the next meeting, so we can go ahead and get these things taken care of and squashed and moved out. Thank you.
It's 31 of them, sir. All 31 will have to be.
No. These are not policies.
What are these right here?
These are not policies.
What are these?
These are things that you said would be a policy.
What are these?
We're gonna send it back to be a policy. But they never became a policy. They just went out the door and sat in the cabinets, in the closets. And sir, I'm trying to be as nice as I can.
Well, I'm being nice too, but I'm saying that I think the 2 that you're talking about, these will be brand new policies. This book right here has 31 old ones.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, 31 old ones. Now you're gonna add these 2, that will give us 33 policies.
We need to bring them before the board.
Well, if somebody writes them or somebody finds one and adds them, we can bring them to the board. Now, without one, then the whole board have to sit here and write 2 more policies. Whereas one person can write them, research them, and then bring them to the board for approval. that would give us 33 policies in this book, because there are already 31 here. And some of the 31 in here we don't follow. And now, are we finished with that? Okay, 9G. Alderwoman Sutherland.
Yes, sir, it's supposed to be simple. I think Mr. Christian has already spoke, but we would like to, Woodland West, Rex Perry was born and raised. He did live in Spring Lake, a taxpayer. He's earned the right, as well as his parents, retired from the military, and they lived there for quite some time. And, Mr. Christian already stated that what he did in the community, and we were just asking that the Woodland West Park be named after Rex Perry, whatever policy and procedure, Mr. Mayor, that we need to go by, then we'll go by that, but that's just my request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is for discussion, right? Any other discussion about matter 9G from the board? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Hi, are there other people in consideration for the name for the park?
Would you like to be named? I mean, I don't know, I just know this. Would you like your name? You want to put your name in? Anybody who wants to put their name in, we can go. That's why I said we're gonna do the policy. The only person I know right now is this thing.
So I think a good thing to do would be to take some time to do some research. I think there's a committee in Spring Lake that usually does the naming of these things, and we're going to talk to them to see what kind of people are available and.
Is that the same thing we're gonna do with the bridge as well?
I'm happy to do the bridge as well.
Oh, because we didn't say anything about the bridge doing that, but, okay.
Hold on, folks. Hold on, please. Hold on. We've done well. We've done quite well tonight. And we are about trying to get it right. And to get it right, let's have some guidelines and some policies and procedures. That's why we're here tonight, to discover that, where we're short, we're going to endeavor to do better. And actually, you know, to take sides by cheering and clapping, come on. We're all in it together. And we will endeavor to do what's right. Everybody. All right? Thank you. This item was for discussion, not for debate. Okay, is there a motion for closed session? Alderwoman Sutherland.
Just have a question still, because so what is the plan? We had a discussion. I still like to propose that we name Woodland West Park, that Rex Perry paid his tax dollars and live in Spring Lake, be named after him, going by the proper policy. So do we bring it back to the board to put it back on here? Because I don't want it to just drop off and it's not being done for future reference. If you want to say tonight, anybody else want have their name for Woodland West, where I reside at and he resided at, and what he did for the community, as well as we've named the parks. I think we named that Ethel Clark, and then we did the tennis court, and we didn't even go through all of this. But if I want to put my name in, or anybody else, can we get a time that we can revisit this? Because I don't want it just to, I mean, I'm discussing it, and I think that you discuss if anybody else has their names in there, and I said no. So where do we go from here with this?
Is there any other suggestion from Alderwoman Cooper?
Are we able to just, put it up for vote, or not?
Discussion.
So it's
Well,
for discussion,
I think part of what the problem has been, and I heard it clearly tonight, is what has been done to name structures after individuals. So may I suggest that we come back and look at this policy of naming, and then come back with the name and adopt the name?
Can we put it on the next agenda?
we would be happy to, I think, put it on the next agenda, but that means we have some homework to do in the meantime. And we have 2 weeks to define the policy, follow the policy, or if we have to redo it, I don't know what we're gonna do until the board, you know, looks at it again, and then make whatever changes are necessary, and then come back in 2 weeks and be ready to go with it. Is that asking too much, Alderman?
No, sir, it's sufficient. I don't want to make anything difficult all the time, because we make it personal. It's not about me. But if somebody else wanna put their name in and they feel like it's, and then we can all agree that, you know, because that's who I feel like needs to be, that was my suggestion. And I think it was stated by citizen as well. But I don't want everything to be a great big debate because it's 3 votes. But, so, yes, sir, that is sufficient. I just wanna know if we're gonna put it back on the next meeting.
I think so, and I think we're going to also get on one accord, and maybe one of these lovely days, we'll have a 5-0 vote, and, we'll live happily ever after. In the meantime, can we get a vote to, enter into closed session? I'm sorry, a motion. Alderwoman Cooper.
I make a motion that we go into closed session, personnel.
All in favor, Alderwoman Jackson.
I second that motion.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, sign of nay. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have to go into closed session for personnel issues. Please indulge us.
motion?
It has been moved and seconded